So it gives me great pleasure to introduce Itzhak Beery to you. Those of you who are within the shamanic scene, of course, know him. And Itzhak is a shamanic healer, speaker, community activist. But most of you will know him from his 3 best-selling books. He's also the founder of Shaman Portal. And what else is there to say about you? Of the Andes Summit, where you bring together lots of different shamans from South America. And you're the founder of the New York Shamanic Circle, and you have received, which is quite awe-inspiring, the Ambassador of Peace Award from the Universal Peace Federation and the UN. And that is, of course, quite mind-blowing. So please all welcome Itzhak, and I'm looking so forward to have a chat with you. I'm just hoping that I will be next to you sooner rather than later. That was the plan, and hopefully it will happen from a technical point of view. But before that, while we sort this out, can you just tell us a bit about you, the things I haven't mentioned or the bits you want to mention again?
First of all, I want to thank you for creating this platform for people who are like-minded people to come together to strengthen their action, not just belief, but it's just action. It is, to me, it is a very important aspect. I was born in Israel. I'm not South American. I was born my parents are from Belarus and from Poland, which they made aliyah. They moved to Israel because of their belief that they wanted to settle in the old land and work the land. And so they were very much against any kind of religion, organized religion, or spirituality. They were like, they really wanted to be farmers. And so I grew up not with any kind of a spiritual or religion training, but what I did grow up with is the sense of community, because we grew up in a kibbutz. It's a community of people who are vowing for each other's well-being, and the sense of closeness to nature. We grew up on the mountain, and we knew every plant's name and animals and the weather. We were very intimate with all of that, and which was a great preparation for the shamanic work that I do now, which is all about the sense of community, building community, preserving community, the essence of community, which is, I think that it is such an important aspect of the shamanic work.
Yeah.
So and I just fell into South American shamanism. You can call it by coincidence or by mistake. I mean, that was many years ago. It was in 1995. So I started my journey with my first workshop was with Michael Harner, and I led to that workshop by a book by Hank Wesselman. So and then I did a trip, my first trip with John Perkins, who is also very much activist in preserving the Amazon and well-being of indigenous cultures.
Yeah, that was interesting when we spoke the first time, wasn't it? Because one of my first teachers was John Perkins, the famous book of of an economic hitman, and then we had the same teacher later on. You for much longer than I had. So that was quite an interesting coincidence. So You said that you kind of also do community activism, and in a way, what we wanted to talk about together is really your work of creating a web that is needed to fulfill the eagle and the condor prophecies. So shall we slowly head towards that? Because you are quite well known as the creator of webs. You're bringing people together, you're bringing different streams together. And why do you feel that is so needed, that we actually work and create webs, especially at this time, at these changing times?
So when I went on a trip with John Perkins in 1997, we were doing plant medicine or ayahuasca ceremony, Natem actually, with a shuar. And in both years that I went there, the message that I received from Spirit was to help preserve the Amazon and the people who are living in the Amazon, to preserve their cultures as a way for us to preserve our own cultures, our own humanity. And I did not know what to do with this message. It was, of course, in the spirit world. I wrote about it, I think, in my book. And I came back from the first trip totally depressed because I didn't know how to bring the two worlds, the seen and the unseen world, together. And it took me 8 months of deep depression to realize that it's not that important. The important part is what you do with that, with this information. And so I was contemplating what to do, uh, how to preserve the indigenous cultures for the benefit of other Western cultures. And I realized that at that time, in the late 90s, many of the shamanic practitioners were doing their own private work, but they were not cooperating with others. It's either they didn't know how, or maybe they were afraid to share with other communities. There's also territorial things between shamanic practitioners. And I don't believe in competition. I really believe in sharing. So I thought that to create a platform, a hub, a place where all shamanic traditions from everywhere around the world can share information, present their courses, their teaching, their trips, and then to also to be a place where people can read about that, or people who heard about that and want more information. So I created that hub, and I went there. Before I did that, I went to Ipupiara, my teacher from Brazil, and which you probably know, or knew, and he gave me his blessing. He thought it was a great idea, and so it took me a couple of years, from 2005 until 2007, to develop that that website. And it was a very slow in coming, because there was also a lot of resistance within the shamanic community for a place like that. So it is my message in doing that is that we the shamanic practitioners and teachers of all shamanic traditions need to cooperate. We can't just teach our own disciples and then be afraid that somebody else will take them. We have to share, and the more we expose ourselves on our work to others, the more people hear about it, resonate with that, participate in that, and we can create a tipping point.
Yeah.
And the tipping point is, I think, it's an enormously important.
Yeah.
And it's only can be done by sharing, by allowing other people. And what I realized, I come from advertising. I used to have an advertising agency in Manhattan. That it is a very competitive field, as you know. That we need to bring this message as much as we can to create a movement, to create a power, that tipping point. And I realized when I was in advertising, for quite a long time, I was in the closet. I didn't tell my clients that I go to the Amazon to do ayahuasca or to do to work with my teachers in the Andes. I just disappeared with my BlackBerry, and I continued to do my work from. but, but at that time there was not much reception. In the Amazon, I had to go to a special little hill because there was that place. There was like a little reception there, and I kind of pretend that I'm still in New York. And I realized that when I started to share this with my clients, my advertising clients, they also had the same feeling that I did, that about the world, about the environment, about social justice. Except that when we are in our own construct of work or capitalist society, we tend to brush it off. And I realized that the more I shared my journey with my clients, they more open up to share their feelings too. And not only that, but they also recommended me clients to work with. And so I truly believe that it is time for us to share our experiences, or shamanic experience or spiritual experiences with everybody, because everybody is a shaman. And that's really the teaching of Hippocrates and many people in the Amazon, is that we are all born to be shamans. Or that's not truly correct, but that we all have what it takes to become a shaman. And some people may take it as a life purpose, as their life mission. And some people just use it whenever it's needed. But we all have dreams. We all have daydreams. We all have the capacity to hug, to share, to speak nicely to other people, to sing, to light a fire, to light a candle, to make a ceremony, to make other people feel better. And I think the most important thing for all of us to understand that those gifts that we receive, those gifts of what we call shaman, is here for our own survival, for the human survival. These are not given to special gift like you. It's given to everybody. And the idea here is that if everybody is a shaman, everybody is a healer, no matter if you practice it every day, then you take responsibility. And you take responsibility for the earth, for other people's well-being, for the community, for all others. And most people are afraid to take responsibility. Yeah. Most people don't want to take responsibility because other people will do it for them, or because they don't feel strong enough. But all those gifts that God gave us, the gift of touch, the gift of healing, the gift of dreaming, these are all for our own survival. And if you go back to the word shaman, which come from the Tungus in Siberia, there are many different definitions for that word, and there are so many different words that describe the practice of shamanism. But the real definition of the word shaman is the keeper of the fire, or the person who stoke the fire, makes sure that the fire is not dies, which is the telling of the stories, keeping the tradition, being in charge, or taking responsibility for the well-being, this spiritual, mental, and physical well-being of a community. So the shaman is not just a person who knows how to journey or have a power animal or know how to do these kind of things and change. It's nice. But for a person who feel the calling for shaman, he have to be a person who is in charge of a community or take responsibility of a community. It is the pillar that hold the community together. And a shaman cannot perform without a community.
Okay, this is beautiful, because I think there you are putting your finger on something which I had lots of discussions with people about, because I always understood that the shaman is there for the community, and self-development and self-enlightenment, or whatever it is a byproduct of the learning the shaman has to do to serve the community and to keep the connection with spirit for the community. And I think we're coming out of the age of individualism now. And I feel that quite a lot of people getting drawn more towards these kind of teachings, because they feel deep down that all the kind of focus on self-development was a necessary stage, but we need to come towards the global and towards community. Is that how you would see it at this moment in time? Even shamanism was always of the community, but I do think we have taken it a bit more towards individual development, which was always, I think, in traditional shamanism a byproduct, but because you had to get to a certain level to work as a shaman. But it now works towards, or develops towards, community more. I can see that here, that more people who are into shamanism are actually waking up and looking more towards community. Could you see that as well? Is that happening in the US? And do you think this is the right development?
Well, I think that there's a little confusion about shamanism and spirituality. And I think that's really have to be very clear. Shamanism is not about spirituality.
Yeah.
It is about practicality, about making other people's life better, making other people's dreams come true. So the whole idea of I'll become enlightened if I'll become a shaman, or I can be, the only way for me to be a shaman is to be enlightened, that's truly a foreign idea.
Yeah.
That does nothing belong to the work of the shaman. The shaman's responsibility to take action, either in the spirit world or in the physical world or in the mental world, to make other people's dreams come true and other people's life better. That's all. It is not our role to be enlightened. And actually, I love that what one of the shamans in my book wrote about it, that we, in the Western, we are chasing our enlightenment. So we go to all these places on the top of the mountains and the in the valleys and in the rocks or whatever, we are looking for enlightenment. But what he said was that enlightenment is every moment. Every moment is our moment of enlightenment if we recognize it. So you don't have to meditate 17 hours a day, or go to the Amazon, or go to the Himalayas or to other places to be enlightened. Enlightened is within us every second, every moment, if we decide that this is the moment. And the question is, what do you do with that enlightenment? How do you make other people's dreams come true? How do you make other people's life better? That is the role of the shaman.
Okay, so then that means, because we talked about this before, as I said before, there was this resistance within the big shamanic community of becoming active out there.
Mm-hmm.
And this is completely different from what we see in lots of indigenous communities, where the elders, okay, they wouldn't necessarily call themselves shamans, but the elders and the healers and everybody in there is actually more and more active in resisting certain things which happen, like the cutting down of the rainforests, like the infringing of industries, like with John Perkins, the oil industry, and so on. So these people are actually active, while the Western shamanic kind of scene rejected it, and sometimes also said even you are not working shamanically if you don't work in these upper worlds. Now, how I always understood it is a bit more what you said, that the shaman is in the first place a person of the community. And in the second place, he's a pragmatist. It either works or it doesn't. There is not so much overthinking here. It's experiential, and over many, many, many millennia, we have found out what works and what doesn't. So if you look at that belief that shamans do not engage in any political issues or actions, would you agree with that or not?
Well, I have a feeling that the same people who think about enlightenment, they also think about that shamans should not be dealing with the reality. But I think that what we're talking about, when we talk about politics, we're talking about policy. And policy is what's your intention for life. And I think that has to be very clear, because we put bad rap about politics, but politics, or the policy of life, is a sacred thing. If you believe that all human beings are equal, that God created all of us the same, with no difference of color, racial colors, or sexual orientation, or any other things. If you believe that God created us all equal for a purpose on this earth, and all the animals and all the trees and all the waters and all of that, it is a creation of the Hatun Pachakamak, the great mystery of life, and it's sacred. In that way, I have a little bit of saying, yes, there are sacred places in this world that other people worship, but I truly believe that every place is a sacred place. It's not just Stonehenge. It is your steps in your building that are dirty, that you want to clean up. It's your house. It's your home. It's your trees all around you. It's the flowers that are rising. It's all sacred because it was touched by God, or created by the Hatun Pachakamak, the great mystery. And if you live like that, then politics, it is the manifestation of that. And your role as a shaman or as a shamanic practitioner is to live according to that intention.
Yeah.
So yes, shamans in the Andes burn tires on the road because the government wanted to take their water from them. They are fighting in the jungle because the oil companies and the palm oil companies are taking their lands and enslaving them. They are in front of the human rights movement in the Amazon. I mean, if you want names and you want people to contact, I'll tell you. But these are the people who also pray and make ceremonies before every soccer game in South America. These are the people who are praying and making ceremonies before any election in South America, because they are involving in life. They
Yes.
want to see results. They are interested in making other people life better.
Yeah. I love that what you said. I mean, we had this whole vision that it is really no contradiction to be involved in activism and at the same time, and it comes together, hold a ceremony, send a prayer, envisage, do a vision quest about where you want to go with it. So that brings me nicely to this eagle and condor prophecy, because I think that is part of your base premise where you work from.
Yes,
Explain a bit the prophecy of the eagle and the condor, because that is this coming together prophecy, isn't it, in these times?
yes.
Yeah.
So the prophecy of the eagle and the condor, um, there's a little dispute, I would say, for some people about if it's true or not true. But it's always like that in our community. They're always disputing it. So there are some branch in Peru who doesn't believe in that, but I think that I truly honor that prophecy because I can see it happening now.
Mm.
Um, so the first person that really told us about that prophecy was Alberto Tazzo in Ecuador. He's a shaman, a very well-known and respected shaman who is also community activist, and he was the initiator of the resistance movement in Ecuador that gave indigenous rights to speak their language and to make their ceremonies and to protect themselves and to have self-identity. It's like in Native Americans in the United States, the Spaniard in South America took away all the rights for indigenous people. So the prophecies talked about the new Pachacuti, the new period of 500 years that began in beginning of the 90s, 1993, 94. And that is 500 years after the uh, the death of Atahualpa, the king of the Inca, which is what the Spaniard came. They ruled Spain. They ruled South America for 500 years, and the Condor and the Eagle prophecy um, predict that 500 years, which is the unit of time that they count time, a new period will become Pacha Kuti, the correction of space and time. Pacha mean it's not just mean earth, it's mean earth and time together. It's a concept that we don't have that, but it's the wholeness or the concept of all of it together. So there is a correction of time, and in this correction of time there is a new energy comes in, and that is the energy of the feminine, or the return of the feminine, the return of the community loving friendship, cooperation between all people. And I'm not talking about just women or men, or it's not gender. It's about the energy that we are bringing forth, and the end of the masculine energy of the last 500 years. Now, if you look at what happened in the last 500 years, it was all about war, occupation, industrialization, technology. These are all the qualities of the masculine energy: killing, building, science. And the new Pachacuti, which began 25 years ago, and which will be 500 years, it's about cooperation. It's about sharing, and it's about community. And the symbols for those two are the condor, which is the symbol of South America. And the condor lives off the earth, doesn't build nests, always live in a community, always teaching the youngs how to fly and how to take care of them. They also don't kill, they only eat that is already dead, and they only eat part of the animal because they want to leave. They leave the other parts to the other animals so they can eat. And so this is the symbol of South America, ruling from the heart, and where the eagle is all the other ones.
Yeah.
It's the masculine energy. It's a building. It's science. It is a very loyal, but for one person, it's all about him, and it's killer. And if you can see, the eagle symbol is on every flag of every empire, including us, including the United States and Rome, and all those empires that wants to show fierce power of the masculine energy, that other people will be afraid of them. So the prophecy is that in 1993-95, the eagle and the condor will start flying in the blue sky in a dance of harmony and cooperation. And that's where we are now. Now, as we see now, there is more and more women who take power around the world. In the United States, there are more women now entering into the political arena. We had one shaman that became president, Barack Obama, who came with all of those sets, and that was around that time. In Europe and other places around the world, more women are now becoming presidents or prime ministers. So that energy of cooperation is now coming. But with that come great resistance of the old time.
Of course.
And that's really what we're witnessing all around the world, with the last grasp of masculine rulers who are not with the program. They're still resisting it. They still wants to intimidate other people, and use every aspect that they have in their power to rule and control others. And that's the masculine power. But I truly believe that we are now in the beginning of a new era, a new paradigm, that all of us and all of you that are listening, that we are agents of that. We are now here to help that usher that period of love, cooperation, sharing, community, responsibility. We need to become more earth honoring, like the condor. And we have that built in with ourselves.
Yes.
We just have to change the way our consciousness is, from the I, which is the Western mind. It's for me, to the indigenous way of thinking, which is we.
Yeah.
We are the tribe. We are the community. If I dump my garbage on the other side of the river, it comes to me. to me too. It's that self-responsibility and the belief that my fate is your fate is, I mean, is so apparent now with the coronavirus, of course, that, you know, whatever happens in one side of the world influence yours. So I think that now that prophecy was also was a sign for the shamans of the Andes and the Amazon to get off the mountains, get out of the forest, and
Yeah.
start teaching all those wisdom that they were holding for so many years, from fear of those masculine energies of the Europeans.
Yeah. No, I'm fully with you, and I do understand exactly what you're saying. And you know, it is not surprising, is it, that there is at the moment uh, a, a, a clash going on? Because why should we can call them the oligarchs or whoever they are? Why should they let go of their power? So of course they are defending it, and it's almost like it looks sometimes like they are in a death throw, you know, and they get wilder and wilder because somehow we know a change is happening. We can see it. But we need to come to some questions. And Jonathan, are you around? You wanted to have a look at the questions. Wait a second. So there's one question which I can see. There's lots of lovely comments. I don't know if you can see them. And
I can read and talk at the same time.
you can't. Right. Multitasking is the idea. Feminine. It's the feminine. Okay.
Well, I have a lot of that in me, but that thing, it's hard for me to concentrate.
No, I am here in the background. I'm not sure if my pictures come up on the screen yet, but yes, absolutely. Talking while watching the screen is difficult. So thankfully that's been my job. I've been listening to your talk.
Watch.
Yeah, I've been listening into your talk, and really grateful for everything you've shared. And I've got some of my own questions, but I'll get through these ones in the chat here first. The first one that I'll bring in to Itzhak is from Kieran. Earlier on in the talk, you were talking about responsibility and stepping forward with our gifts to be able to kind of step in there to pass the message out to the community and to help bring around change. Kieran wrote this message here, that he'd been inspired by indigenous culture since he was quite young. He talks about having seen the Shuar shrunken heads, which were, you know, we still have some of them in
the British Museum.
Yes, this one here, I think he describes this as the museum in Oxford. You know, there's some at different places, obviously still. But you know, it was a spark for him to get looking into different cultures, particularly the Shuar. And he's saying that now he's studying fine art at university, and he's been exploring and practicing shamanism for a couple of years, and wants to look at how can he bring his gifts then through in order to raise awareness and inspire and share, and what advice you might have there for him.
Well, you know, any art you do has a message, and if you be true to yourself, you're true to your value, you probably will express that with your fine art. You know, that's what I did. You know, the art is not for the art itself. The art is to change, to motivate, to change the way people sees the world. And so there's a great idea to, and I'm playing with this idea, is to bring more shamanic work into the forefront. And that could be a fantastic way to shed light. But it's also to do it in your own life, you know, do ceremonies, work with spirit, get inspiration from spirit, get instructions from spirit. It is a choice that you make in every steps of your day. Don't eat food or don't do stuff that is not honoring the earth.
Mm. Mm.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, but bringing it all in all ways. That's great. There's a message that's come in about that particular exhibition to say that over the years they've become a bit more respectful of Indigenous cultures, and so hopefully that means they've changed that particular display. But it was there to inspire Kieran 6 years ago or 4 years ago when he'd seen it. The next question that's in there, that you were talking a lot about particularly kind of to do with the challenge now of the old masculine gripping hold of as much of it can on the structures that has served it so far as we're in these times of change, and how that is kind of represented in that kind of symbolism of the eagle and the condor. There's a question from Louisa here about, what ways would you suggest of how we can bring that kind of that balance in the masculine and feminine into more of a harmony?
So I'll answer it with a story. So in Brazil, there are two rivers, the Rio Negro and the Amazon. The Rio Negro come from the north, from Peru and others, and the Amazon come from the other side. And each of them has a different temperature and different color and different life that grows there. And then somehow around Manaus, in the meeting of the rivers, they all come together. But it takes them 50 kilometers to merge. It takes them a long time for the temperature to merge together, for the river life to work together, for all the plants that they come together. So it is a beautiful metaphor for that idea that when we are changing, when we are in a time of change, it's not necessarily going to happen all at once. It may take 50 kilometers. It may take a long time because we need to relearn how to swim together, how to think in different way, how to hold ideas in different ways. That idea that we can do everything by force is so entrenched in Western civilization. How do we seize control? How do we allow the people of the earth to come emerge? It takes a long time, and it may not be in our lifetime. I hope that in my grandchildren's lifetime it will happen. But I think that we can see that the seeds are there already. When we have a vice president in the United States, which is a woman and a Black woman, that's a seed. When we see so many women are fighting for women rights in the Amazon and in the United States and all around the world, I truly believe that our future is in the hands of women and color women. I truly believe that because they understand what community, what family is. They are not jaded by the force of separation, the force of me or I. They see it as a family.
Mm-hmm.
We are family, we are all family.
And there's a very key point in what you said there that stands out for me of not using the same old dominance approaches of trying to force it. The river is flowing in that direction, and there is a kind of an allowing it in there. Very important kind of.
Well, which brings the question is, should we allow it or shall we be activists informing it? Yeah. And I think that we need to be absolutely laser sharp focused on making it happen. Yeah. Because the forces of evil, the forces of negative energy is so strong and they are so entrenched in our consciousness that we need all of everybody here to be an agent of that change. We can't just wait for that that was my biggest argument with the shamanic community for that many people said that we need to sit on our hands and let it play out. I'm very much with Crystal that yes, we understand the processes, we understand the prophecies, we know that's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
But are we going to have more people desperate? Are we have more people killed? Are we have more people? No, we have to stand up. We really need to help the river merge.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, I think this is a wonderful point to end, isn't it, Jonathan? Because we're getting to the end. I tell you what, it's like, and I knew this would happen. I wanted to say that I find you a prime example of the idea that we are working together and supporting each other. Since I know you kind of send things people's way and you never make a fuss around it. You just seem to kind of have that already internalized. And I'm fully with you. We have lots of prophecies, but I find if we just sit there and say, then we need to do nothing, I feel we are co-creators in a very classical sense, and no matter what prophecy, it could take another few thousand years if we are not working actively with it. It is taking that co-creating ability and the responsibility. And I mean, that's what I'm hearing. And I think the responsibility is important for each of us, isn't it? To take responsibility for moving this or helping to move this in a direction which moves mankind forward and moves the earth in the right direction towards thriving of life.
Yes, I mean, we are moving, we are the river. And I think that we need to learn that if we get stuck by a rock, we can go around it, and we don't have to lose sight of where we need to go. We need to go to the ocean.
Yeah.
And we have to, I mean, I personally always felt the power of community. You can't do shamanic work in your kitchen. You can't do shamanic work by yourself. You have to do it with other people, because it is about changing other people's life and energy. So, and you receive so much from it too. It is the support that we need each other. It doesn't happen by just by yourself. It's just not. It is a dream. That dream that I can do it myself and I don't really need other people. It is a nightmare. And that's really where we are now.
Yeah.
We are in a place now that we are realizing that we were looking down from the cliff.
Yeah. And
we need to change.
Yeah.
We need to change. We must change. There's no question that we need to change. Maybe not for us, because we are at the edge of that period, but maybe for our children and grandchildren.
And for all these future generations.
Absolutely.
Many. And for the animals and plants of this planet too, isn't it? Yeah.
They are people too.
Yeah. Okay, and on this note, I could listen to you for hours, as you know. Well, okay. So I have to say thank you, because we're running out of time. A big thank you to Itzhak. It was a real honor, and I'm so pleased you could join us, really. And so thank you very much for talking to us.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Absolutely.
And maybe we see you tomorrow at one point. Click in if there is somebody you would like to listen to.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And I appreciate all the people who took time to listen and to make a commitment. You know, make a commitment to yourself, but mostly committed for your family, for the enlarged community. You know, everything that you do impact the world. And if you've taken plant medicine and ever, you know that that we are all connected with this invisible cause, and that's what we have to be very careful not to destroy.
Thank you again. And if you stay for a moment and just look at the thread which is running there, I mean, there are many, many, many thank yous. We have a lot of people here, and there are lots on the live stream. I will look at it in a moment. I'm quite sure there are more there. And you are in the UK. You're doing something on Zoom in the UK not long?
I'm doing tomorrow. I'm doing.
You're doing tomorrow.
I'm doing a class for the college of psychic. Yeah. We're doing what I call the art of holding space.
Holding.
Holding space, which is something that people don't really understand what it is, but it's so important, especially if you are a healer. But it's also for personal relationships. So I think that we're going to explore that. It is one of the most useful, although it's not. It's the most practical thing, and with teaching that I've done before with people, they immediately manifested it in their relationship, and it changed. Right. But anyway, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you as well. And I will click out now so that
okay.
Thank you, Itzhak.
Thank you, everybody.